You can care deeply for someone else without disappearing. Most people think caregiving is about sacrifice, about putting your life on hold for someone else. But what if that story is incomplete? What if caregiving could also be about resilience, identity, and even growth? Today, my guest is Nikki Nurse. She spent 12 years as a full-time caregiver for her mom, who lived with early onset dementia. She knows the weight of grief, guilt, and the fear of disappearing into that role, but she also knows what it takes to hold on to yourself, to stay visible, to care without losing who you are. In this conversation, Nikki shares the real story of caregiving, not just the hardships, but the moments of self-discovery, strength, and the radical act of giving yourself permission to be seen. This episode is brought to you by Hero Generation, the platform transforming how we support caregivers. Hero Generation connects family caregivers with essential resource, expert guidance, and a community that truly understands this journey. Whether you're navigating daily tasks, looking for emotional support, Hero Generation empowers you to care with confidence. Because heroes need support too. Learn more at herogen.co. We are also supported by Zinnia TV. They bring calm, joy, and meaningful engagement to people living with dementia. Zinnia's specifically designed video content sparks those memories, soothes anxiety, and helps caregivers create moments of peace and connection. Whether you need a break or a tool to enrich your daily care, Zinnia is here to help. Start your free trial today at zinniatv.com and use the code GATHER20 for 20% off your annual subscription. And now here is my interview with Nikki Nurse. I get to have back, because you were on Gather Darlings, one of my favorite people, Nikki. How are you? So
Oh
happy
my
you're
God, I'm
here.
so happy to see you again. And I'm so glad that we got to connect.
Makes my day. We were just chatting so much, and I was like, oh my gosh, we got to hit record. We got to capture all the
Yes.
fire. Capture the fire.
Yes.
I know you, but my listeners don't know you. So tell us about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Nikki, and I was a full-time caregiver for my mom who had early onset dementia. I took care of her for 12 years. I started when I was in my late 20s. And my mom was also in her late 50s. So it was a learning curve. We began our journey in 2011, and I learned a lot along the way because it was a very isolating and lonely experience. So it was a lot of trial and error, but
Yeah.
I also learned that I can't care for my mom in burnout, and I was burnt out so much of the time. And in that year, like 2011, a lot of the conversation around self-care was more about um, getting your nails done, manicures and pedicures, going for a facial or doing one at home. But I was faced with burnout every day, and I can't or could not get my nails done every day. So
Right.
I started to think about how I could create self-care every day. And from that conversation in my mind, I started experimenting with sustainable self-care practices, like these small micro moments that I was allotted while I was taking care of my loved one. Where could I fit in moments for me? And that looked like me having breathing sessions, like putting my hand over my chest and connecting to myself, having somatic breathing moments, or taking the time to drink more water, or taking the time to get dressed and not just wearing the same sweater every day. And no shade in that, but for me, wearing the same thing every day, it gave off a message to myself that I had given up. And there was in no way that I wanted that. So, yeah, I had started having fun. And my mom and we ended up becoming such an amazing team while she was navigating her journey with dementia, and I was helping her as she was on that journey. And I started sharing that on social media platforms and created a community of other millennial caregivers who were going through similar situations. And it just was such a serving moment that I continue doing it today, even after my mom passed.
Ah, you are, and you're a light for people that are wanting to tap into like what can we do? What's sustainable? What does that really look like? Give us like energy and thinking of things in a different way. And as we were sharing earlier about, right, having things even that are beautiful surrounding us, those like little micro moments make, yeah, such a huge difference. So looking at your social is like micro beautiful moments every day.
Thank you. I did that on purpose because when we started in 2011, Instagram had just started, and I was Googling through Instagram, or I don't know, can I say searching? Yeah, I was searching through Instagram, and I was looking for dementia caregivers.
Mhm.
Because what did I just sign up for? I want to know.
It
And
is
I
hard.
remember seeing the last stages. It was always the end stage. And I saw a lot of tears, and I saw a lot of mighty low periods for caregivers and their loved ones. And I just did not like I didn't like that narrative that it's only to me, it made me feel like that's the only thing that we should concentrate on. And I don't think that it should be. I think that this journey, taking care of someone who does have progressive disease, is more than just the end. I think we need to practice more of being present and not live for the end. We're living for today. So what would that look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like? All of those things. So when you go to my page, whether it's on Instagram or LinkedIn or even on TikTok, it's meant to provide emotional respite. So
Mhm.
the soothing colors on Instagram, that was done by design. So that when you go there, it's a safe space for your mental, right?
Yeah. Oh, such a big piece of that. I know a lot of times we view or caregiving is framed as that self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
What's your experience with that term or that idea? Has it shaped your identity as a caregiver? Or I should say, shifted it, right?
Ooh, shifted. I love the question, and you're absolutely right. And I think the self-sacrificing is something that has been culturally known and
Mm.
understood. So, for anyone who has felt like they have sacrificed themselves, please don't feel any shame for that. And also, please don't blame yourself for that.
Yeah.
Again, this has been the narrative for so long. It's like you have to be the martyr. You have to abandon all hope and yourself. That is not what being a caregiver is. I think it definitely has shaped me. And I think it happened in 2017 when I broke both my feet. And remember, I started my journey taking care of my mom in 2011. So a few years later, when I became disabled, I had now become a disabled caregiver.
Mhm.
And because of my disability, I had no choice but to rest actively because I couldn't stand for a lot of the things that my mom needed. Thankfully, she was in the middle stage of dementia, so she would always try to help, and we really were like a full-on team with each other. But because of that disability, it caused me to rest on schedule. Like I would plan out our week, and I'd be like in like if it was a Monday, okay, Mondays we're going to the library, and then after that Nikki has to keep her feet up for the rest of the afternoon while mommy does her coloring, and then she's going to do her phone call, her virtual therapy sessions. And I had to fit it in, so much so that it definitely became a part of the routine where Nikki rests is in mommy's caregiving journey as well. So, it takes some time. It definitely takes practice because it's also a mental mantra that you have to give yourself permission and to know that it is okay to rest. And you actually have more joy because you're making space for that. It's that incentive to want to give the care is that you're going to enjoy something for yourself, right? And I think
Yeah.
that that's a key thing to keep in mind is what is giving you that incentive to care today? What is it? Is it
Yeah.
is it the fragrance that you're wearing?
Right.
Is it because you get to enjoy the coffee with the creamer that you like? What is the incentive? What is the thing that's going to give you the joy to get up out that bed like you cannot wait for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And earlier you were mentioning taking that rest, but it was like you're like, I'm doing the work, right? And not feeling bad about the rest because that is a part of the work within ourselves to recharge and to pour back in. Yeah.
Oh my God, Nicole, absolutely. And I'm still going through the caregiver PTSD and working on giving myself permission and allowance for resting and for having human moments because we are humans having caregiving experience. That's what's
Mhm.
happening here, right? We're not a caregiver. We're human having a caregiver experience. I was sharing with you, like I had a therapy session and I have been actively looking for like a regular 9 to 5, but it's been a struggle. So I have some relatives that are always demanding so much that I go out and I hit the streets and I walk in with my resume and do all the things. However, at that particular time I had the flu, but those relatives kept saying that I still need to go hit the streets with the resume. Keep going. You don't really want a job because if you did, and I'm like actively sick. And my therapist says to me, why do you keep hearing your relatives in the back of your mind telling you to keep working, keep working? What would you want to hear? And I said, I would want to hear, I am doing the work. I am.
Yeah.
I am. And I find there's to be so much freedom in that statement, such an exhale moment. Like, I am doing the work. I don't know if anybody can relate, but I tend to love reading self-help books. And I'm always trying to figure out how can I improve? How can I upgrade? And it's like an everyday thing. Like, oh, how can I, well, what class can I take? But when am I actually implementing everything that I've learned? And
Mhm.
and it just so happened that because I was like looking at my resume and like, yeah, you're right. I need to hit the streets. And as I was going through my 5-page resume, I said to myself, yo, chick, you got 5 pages? 5 pages of skills and experiences. What? You
Yeah.
have done the work and you are still doing the work. Give yourself permission to bask in all that you have attained. When I was a caregiver, I didn't do that enough. I kept thinking, oh, well, what else can I do? Oh, maybe I could. Oh, maybe I'll relax, relate, and
Mhm.
release. Oh my God, that release, right?
With that same term that right, that society talks about of like self-sacrifice, we're martyr, comes with that we abandon ourselves.
Yeah.
Specifically when we care for people, right? We're putting a lot of times like other people's needs first. Did that show up for you at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My cultural background is Spanish and West Indian, and I have always seen the elders in my family sacrifice and abandon themselves. Either it was their desired profession or a love that they had, love of cooking or a love of a person or love of gardening. They just gave it up to take care of someone else.
Mhm.
And I've always seen that. And again, the culture has always been if you're a caregiver, you have to sacrifice yourself. And I don't think that that is realistic or sustainable. I know that it is a real situation that happens, but it's not one that behooves us to be the best caregiver that we can be. When you've given up on who you are, what makes you you, what makes you enjoy being here, how is that care experience? I think it's lackluster. I think it's not serving is what I think. And again, my opinion, but for me, I had to give myself permission to stop giving up on the things. And I remember one example. I used to have music associated with every care activity that I did with my mom. So for example, for her grooming in the morning, we had played the Jackson 5, and then grooming in the evening, we played lo-fi jazz. And I remember one morning, I had the music playing in the speakers in the house, and I got so angry because it was every day. Imagine groundhog every day. And my mom's having the time of her life. She's like, yeah, ABC. I'm over it. And I'm just like, listen, you know what? And I started to perspire because I was getting anxious. And I said, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna go to, order her Bluetooth headphones and not feel guilt about it. And I was feeling so guilty. And who would, if you think about that, like, okay, so what? It's just headphones. It's not just headphones. We're not sharing her experience.
Oh
Why? It's giving codependency. I was so codependent.
oh, wow. Wow.
I didn't want her to ever feel alone. Like, you're not in this by yourself. We're a team. But just that little act of getting her those headphones totally put me on a path of you can actually have respite without guilt. I think I like it here. I think I do. I think what else can we do?
I
Yeah,
would
it
you
starts small.
it does. Okay, you mentioning codependency
Yeah.
and all of my 200 and some podcasts, I
Mhm.
don't think that has ever been mentioned.
No way.
Right? But you mentioned that. I got goosebumps. I'm like, holy crap, that is exactly what can happen
Yeah.
completely without even realizing it, how much we are tied to that.
We're
Whoa,
tight.
we're
Yeah.
tied to it. Whoa.
I take it so personal. Whatever happens to her, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But there's a name for it. You know that sometimes I think that we avoid feelings or conversations because we don't have a name for what we're feeling or what is it that we're trying to share or emote. And the word is codependent, babe. That's the word. That's
Yeah.
what we're looking for. It's codependent.
Oh, okay. Now we can name it.
Now we can
Wow.
name it. And once we name something, you're clarifying it.
Mm,
Now you're giving yourself a end goal or a destination to go to or to leave from because you know what it is. You can define it and you have a name for it. You can give yourself clarity.
mm, that's something that is going to really, I think, open people's eyes and
Hope so.
give us clarity, more conversation about that. Wow. Wow. Oh, as I'm thinking through with abandoning self, a lot of that is, and you touched on this, we aren't giving ourselves permission to be seen. We are stepping away. And for caregivers, can you encourage them? What would you share with them about having the permission to be seen and not disappear into their role?
Yeah, I think it comes down to, for my own experience was accountability. I felt so accountable and responsible for my mom getting sick.
Mm,
I felt like it was my fault. And I remember one therapy session, my therapist said, it is not your responsibility to care for someone who is fully able to care for themselves.
mm,
And I say that because before my loved one became sick, they were well, but they made poor choices with their own health that caused them to progress in such a way that they now had this disease.
mm,
And even though I was a teenager when my mom was making those poor choices, right? I still felt responsible for her getting sick. I felt responsible when she had dementia and then she had a cold. Like, what was I doing? How is her nose running? Like, oh my God. I think there needs to be a separation of persons. There
mhm.
needs to be a distinguished identity of this is my loved one, this is not me. And in doing so, you can set it up in a way where you're giving back your loved one their own independence. Like, what can they do? What do they need help with? And what should they not be doing at all? Okay.
Yeah.
Once
Mm,
you're able to kind of get that situated in your own mindset, you're allowing now yourself to have more room to flex your own independence, the
mhm.
way that you can now be seen. So instead of, if you know you have a full day with your loved one, what would you normally wear? You'd wear like a jogging suit, right? Okay, so fine. Let's say you do wear that jogging suit, but how about you wear the jogging suit in the colors that you like? What if
Yeah.
it's in the color peach because we're in springtime, so you want to get into, or butter yellow? Okay, have you seen pantsuit? All right, like get into it, but do it in a way that still identifies that you are you. We are separate identities here, and there's no shame, there's no guilt in that. Allow yourself the space to be you listen to your own music. And when I got my mom those headphones, guess what I was listening to on the speaker? DMX. That's right, because that's what I want to listen to. And I felt good. I felt seen. I felt heard. Okay.
Wow. Wow. Oh my word. Yeah. Again, and fighting against the codependency, right?
Oh my God, yes. And it's you know, it's gonna start slow, but the focus word is start.
Yeah.
Okay, just start. Do it
Yeah.
in the small ways, and it starts to build. James Clear, who wrote the book Atomic Habits, has
Mm,
and I definitely encourage any caregiver listening to download that. It's on Libby, the library app, or you know, if you want to jam with Audible, but you should definitely listen to that book or read it if you have the time for it. Because in there, he's speaking about how to build positive, healthy habits for yourself. And I know that for myself as a caregiver, I abandoned and neglected my health, whether that
mhm.
was my emotional health or my mental health and even my spiritual health. But there were I kept on feeling like it was impossible to make space for me. I have no time for it. I need to take care of my loved one. But in this book, Atomic Habits, he speaks about habit stacking, which
Mm,
is you have one habit that you're accustomed to. So in the mornings, you get your person's medication in order. That's what you do.
mhm,
That's the habit. So
mhm,
what new habit can you stack on top of that?
mm.
Because now it will all be at the same time, at the same place, so it's not out of the way. It's just all in this, it's all in this one bubble.
Yeah.
So, one habit that I started with my mom, since I knew every morning she gets this medication, I had my coffee and I had my creamer all in
Mm,
the same place. So that way, as soon as I saw her medication, I also saw my coffee mug, I saw my coffee. I'm able to make space for myself and do it in a way that it's not taking away from my the care that I'm providing to my loved one, but also I'm taking care of me. Now I'm showing up for me and
right.
prepping and planning, preparing yourself for that makes you more successful. It also makes you have a bit more ease. And really, caregivers need to be in a season of ease, no
Right.
matter
Right.
what. It's your
Yeah.
season of ease.
And it honestly, when we think of caregiving for a lot of us, we think of this massive loss of control, right? Because like so much is outside of what we can control.
Yeah.
Uh, but when you share that perspective, you're saying, well, I'm taking back the things that I can, quote unquote, have control over, right? So,
Yeah.
how have you found that the word control or control in general plays a role in caregiving for people?
It's a really good question. Yeah, control is damn, it can be a bully sometimes, but I think it's only that when we don't fully understand that we are the authors of the
Yeah.
words that we use, which to me means that we are the creators of our own, curators of our own experience. So that said, if you want more control in your life, I think it helps to understand what it is you can control and what you can't control. So here's where I would introduce a list to write it down. One side you write control, the next side you write can't control.
Mm,
So on the side of control, you can say you can control your thoughts, you can control the words you speak, you can control the wardrobe, the clothes that you wear. You can control the music you listen to. You can control the perfume, the fragrance you wear. And then you start seeing you're actually in control of a lot. That
mm,
list has at least 10 plus things on there. So what can't you control? Maybe you can't control the progression of your loved one's health. Okay,
mm,
out of your hands. Maybe you can't control your loved one's mood. That's at an addendum because there are some ways that you can control or rather influence your loved one's mood and
yeah,
attitude. You can
yeah.
do that by paying attention to their body language. Sometimes our loved ones are forgetting the words to use, and maybe it's been over 2 hours and you're noticing your loved one looks agitated. Maybe they need to go to the bathroom, right?
Mm,
But they just didn't know how to communicate that or they forgot how. So every 2 hours, that's a good thing to keep in your mind or set an alarm for yourself. Take your loved one to the bathroom. Don't ask, just go there. Okay. So what else can't you control? You can't control what your loved ones eat. All right. Maybe you can influence that by
mm,
using stimulating colors and creating an aesthetic and an ambiance during the eating times. So, what that means is the ambiance would include music, it would include the color red, because red is a color that's known to stimulate energy and activity. It also helps that your loved one will be attracted to that color, and maybe also separating the food in that red plate or that on the red bowl in the red dish, so that way your loved one doesn't feel like everything is mixed together and they have an opportunity to pick and choose what they would like to eat from that dish. So, yeah, just going over that list, you can actually see you have a lot of power as a caregiver. You have power for the things that you control, and you also have power in the things that you influence.
Mm. So
Yeah.
good. I know with how we relate to our loved ones when we're caring for them, you had talked about, okay, with your mom, and you were going to give her music and have all that happen. In a previous conversation, you and I had shared about this like seesaw effect that happens where we can sometimes absorb the emotions of the people that we're caring for, or vice versa. How have you built resilience for that? How do we not take that personally? I know I actually had a friend of mine who was caring for a loved one living with dementia, and without fully really grasping and understanding the disease process, she would take a lot of what was happening or what was said extremely personal, right? It was very hard to separate that. How do
Yeah.
we walk through that?
It's definitely hard to separate. It's so it
And maybe we don't, right? I mean, how do we,
yeah.
maybe that's a part of it, is that
Yeah.
two things can be true at the same time. I don't know.
Absolute. No, Nicole, you're right. Two things can be true at the same time. Duality exists. I
Mm.
think that it helps to, again, remember that we're humans and that we're having a caregiving experience. And that experience sometimes looks like harsh words being spoken, or maybe even aggressive behaviors being experienced. And I think that we should not ignore it, and we shouldn't just cop it over to, oh, they're sick, so that's why. No, no, no. That's not it. That is not why. They are sick and this is happening. However, it did happen. We will acknowledge it and we will process it. And
Mm.
maybe the process will look different throughout each experience, but you should always give yourself room enough to process that. Maybe your loved one said, "You're a fat cow." You hurt my feelings. Okay. I know you're going through what you're going through, but I'm also here going through it with you. It hurt. I didn't like it. Don't do it again. There's a lot of freedom in that as well, because you can still have conversations with your loved one even though they have a specific diagnosis. Why not? They are also humans going through their journey. So having the conversation with them, and if you feel like you can't, then writing it down, because you should express it in some way, a healthy way. And healthy ways that you can do it is by journaling or talking to a caregiver support group with other caregivers who are also going through similar things as you and can see and hear you and understand and not think it's strange that you're upset that your loved one who has a cognitive disability just told you off. They'll get it, they'll understand. Sometimes our friends or our families won't, but other caregivers will,
Mhm.
which is why I'm so grateful for what you're doing in this care space, Nicole. You are creating such a welcoming and a gracious experience for caregivers, and that is so needed. So thank you for all you do here.
Yeah, and thank you. I just get to be with people like you that help teach me, and we right share that, create that space collectively, which is what is so powerful. So powerful. We had shared about the environments. I don't, listeners can't really see, but your place is gorgeous. I'm sure they can when they see your
Thank
social media. It's
you.
just so pretty. And the power of what we wear. We talked about that, like get out that color that you love,
Yeah.
where we live, our surroundings, color, what we surround ourselves with can really impact our well-being. Tell us more about that, because I know that that's such a big part of how we pull in the joy, the well-being, and the like those micro self-care moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Color is so impactful on our psyche and on our moods, which holds a lot of our energy. Your mood, like when you wake up in the morning, do you have energy? You're probably exhausted, but if your mood was set at 100, like, oh my God, you don't even want to know what I got in store today. Yeah, it does something for your energy. Even though you were exhausted, the excitement, it over it exceeds your exhaustion. So I think color definitely plays a part in our psyche. So one color that I really love is the color blue. And so today I'm wearing like a turquoise necklace, right? So turquoise is like a little, like a tealish blue. But blue is known to be a color representing healing and health, well-being, right? I'm obsessed with wellness. And I feel like if I can provide that for myself, the blue, the healing in any fashion, any form, I'm going to do it. So I make sure to have that in the things that occupy my visual space. So like I know I need to drink water. That's a part of my wellness at rituals or activity. So I will have a water bottle in the color blue
I
because
was gonna say it's blue.
it's blue, done on purpose. And living a life of intentionality as a caregiver is so important. You know,
Mhm.
like I was mentioning, if you know you have a full day with your loved one, so you're just going to put on the easiest thing, which is just your jogging suit, or your jeans and a graphic tee, or jeans and a sweatshirt. There's no problem with having a uniform. In fact, I encourage you to have a uniform. Okay. Tuesdays, we only wear sweats. Fine. Well, make sure those sweats are in colors that you like. So, in my mom's journey with dementia, there were different stages of dementia. And during her last stage of dementia, I wore more soothing colors because it was so emotionally taxing on me to see my loved one actively die. And I couldn't I couldn't understand life or regulate my nerves around the idea that she would no longer be here. So I had to self-soothe. I had to self-regulate. And I did that through the colors that I chose. I used a lot of taups and mauves, top, Taupe, right? A lot of mauve colors, a lot of browns. Now, brown is a really great color because it represents the earth. It represents staying grounded. It represents familiarity. So, what that interprets is you're connecting back to yourself. You're grounding yourself, and even taking it up a notch, getting the colors that specific colors that you like or you enjoy, and in fabrics that would also help with the self-regulation. So if it's winter time or the colder season, maybe getting a fabric that has a bit more fluff to it, so you're feeling very comforted as you put your feet in your cozy slippers, you know. Maybe if it's in the summertime, you're wearing fabric that is breathable. So you're not always running around doing things with your loved one, but you're actually wearing clothes that are keeping your body cool. That's self-regulating, right? So I think it's important to just be intentional with your care journey.
I can picture like I have certain things that I go to when I
Yeah.
want, when we're saying like the thicker and the soft, and yes, it just does. It does something with our mental
Yeah.
health. Absolutely.
It
Yeah.
really does. These are subconscious messages that we're sending. Our brains are so powerful
Mhm.
just from wearing something or smelling something. Like when you get dressed and you know you're always going to be at home, but do you wear fragrance? Or if you
Mhm.
feel like you just don't want to be bothered with the fragrance, are you wearing a body oil? You know, if you don't even want to be bothered with that, do you have a diffuser? Can you
Mhm.
add some scents, some oils, that lavender, eucalyptus? If you know you're always at home, bring nature inside your home. Use the eucalyptus essential oil. Use some lavender essential oil. Get into it, okay? You'll feel so much better.
So much better.
So
I
much.
love lemongrass.
Oh, I love it. I
I have
love
like a
it.
lemongrass essential oil and I just
I feel
love
like I'm at a spa when I'm
it.
smelling it. Yeah, immediately.
I know, it's so true. You talked about having the PTSD a little bit after,
Yeah.
having the caregiving. How did you reconnect to your own desires after years of putting someone else first?
Yeah, that was really tricky business because I didn't even know that I was having PTSD. I
Mm.
only found that out because I got burnt out. And I was like, whoa, I know what burnt out feels like because I've seen this before. I felt these feelings before. But I was getting burnt out severely because I was starting to take care of my friends the way I was taking care of my mom. And I'm like, wait a minute. I do not have to care for anyone who is fully able to care for themselves, Nick. Come on, you know this.
Yeah.
So I had to identify
Mm.
why I was burnt out. And that's also something to keep in mind. It's interesting to know that a lot of caregivers function in high alert, and
Mhm.
high alert is associated to burnout because you don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to miss anything. You want to make sure you're doing all the things, but you're causing yourself to overwork. You're
Mhm.
overstimulating yourself, and it's not your fault. You're by yourself. You're doing it all, right? And also, you're amazing, but you're in a state of burnout. That's what's happening, babe. You're in
Mhm.
burnout. So identifying you're in burnout is the first thing. And then the second thing is trying to figure out what got you to burn out. So
Mhm.
for me with the PTSD, I understood it as I was really getting burnt out. Now, what is causing me to be burnt out? I was taking care of my friends.
Mhm.
Okay. So what do I do now? What would be the desired result that I'm looking for? Is giving myself even more permission to take care of myself, like to occupy space, to have autonomy in my own life. Whoa, am I ready? Apparently, the universe thinks that I am. So let's get into it. And how? How does that start? It starts with gentle ways, resetting my brain, rewiring those functions of knowing that it's okay to have a new routine and to transition into that. And I have to confess, I use ChatGPT to help me get there. And I put in all the details like, hey, I was a caregiver for 12 years and my loved one passed away, and now I need a new routine. I want to make sure that I am still taking my multivitamins, working out, cooking for myself, going out with friends, but I need a schedule. Please create a timed out schedule for morning routine, afternoon routine, and evening routine.
Wow.
At the addendum, I always add, please make it fun and relatable. You know me already, bestie. I call it bestie because I feel like it it works better.
What a brilliant way to use ChatGPT.
Oh yeah.
I
I do it.
mean,
Yeah, because the decision fatigue is real, right? Always having to be on and always having to perform and take care of your loved one. And then when it gets to the point where you have to think for your loved one, like I had mentioned the example before about the bathroom, thinking, oh my God, is my loved one did they pee today? Did they drink water today? Always having to be on is exhausting. So I just knew that I didn't want to make decisions right now. I was in a very sensitive space with my grief. And I also believe that it helps to go from caregiver to CEO in your mindset. I suffered from doing it all and never feeling comfortable enough to delegate. And it was only when I broke both my feet that I had no choice but to delegate. So then I started seeing like, how can I build a care team for myself? And my care team looked like employing caregiver assistants. It looked like having a caregiver support group. It looked like using the Peloton app and telling everyone that I had a personal trainer, even though it was just the Peloton app.
okay.
It looked like having a nutritionist, even though it was the Daily Harvest app and Cook Unity, because they work with chefs. So it's
Mhm.
almost like I am having five-star meals and I'm still showing up for myself, but I'm not doing all of the work. And it helps to delegate. What can you do? What do you need help with? And what should you not be doing at all? I should not be doing everything at all, okay? And if I don't like cleaning or if I don't like cooking, then I'm going to try to see how I can delegate that over to someone. And there is money that's involved with a lot of these things, but there's also free things, free resources available. Like if you can't afford the Peloton app or you just don't want it, then YouTube has a ton of licensed certified trainers on YouTube. Boom. Give me another excuse about why you can't show up for yourself. Please. I want to hear it. I do. It's
And you
possible.
Give the reason and the way that they can do it. I love that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you know that even if you didn't have a nutritionist or you didn't want to invest in one, that you can go to your primary doctor and you can ask them for nutritional diet plans? Yes, you absolutely can. It's a part of the package. They work for you. You don't just go there in the 2 times of the year to just do the regular annual check. No, 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 actually. You can call them, call the office and ask for them to send you, email you whatever it is that you need, your nutritional plan. Ask them if they have that service or if they can recommend who they can go to for that service.
Such great advice.
Yeah, there's more for us than against us. Even though it might feel isolating, it actually is not. That is not the truth of what this care journey is. We have resources available, paid and free. It's available.
We need that. We need it. We
Yeah.
need to hear it. I think we can fall into that. I don't know if it's victim mentality or feeling that we're it's happening to us rather than us really taking that back and saying, no, we're going to show up. We're going to make this happen.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I would say that it does feel like it's a victim mentality. I remember that one movie, Bridesmaids, and the lady is on the plane and she's like, "I'm poor, please." I used to feel like that as a caregiver. I'm like, you know, I ain't getting paid. Come on, man, I can't afford it. But I wrote a list. I wrote a list of the version of me that I would want to be, and she is wealthy. And then in the list, I started writing down like what makes her wealthy and what makes her wealthy like right now presently, right? And on the list I had that she has 12 new toothbrushes I bought like in stock. Wow, 12? It's only April, like, and that she has access to the Dollar Tree, which has 64-ounce water bottles available. Whoa, $1.25 was only spent. That's incredible. That she has access to fresh strawberries and that she can freeze them and make smoothies as well as making regular strawberry salad. I mean, wealth. What does it look like? Remember, you are in control of what you can control. So where can you flex that power? In the words that you're using, redefine it. Redefine what you want this to look like, to feel like, to smell like. Do that. It's your power to do that.
I'm just sitting here nodding my head.
Ah!
Yes, yes, keep going.
Yeah. Isn't that something? It's mind-blowing. And your eyes, it's like a woke situation. Like, wait a minute, you're right. Why did I think that it was okay to abandon myself, to neglect myself? It's not okay. You have so much going for you. I get that you have heavy days. I get that there are a lot of challenging moments. But guess what? You are the head and not the tail. Okay? You are actually the boss here. What do bosses do? They don't do work. They delegate work. So what can you delegate? Is it possible that you can instead of using a nutritionist, maybe you do download the Chat GPT, which they have the free version there. So again, free. And you put in, I am a new caregiver to my father and need to create a nutritional plan for him. And but I want to grocery shop first. I have $35. This is what I need for the meals that he wants. Please tell me the ingredients I need for it and how to prep those meals. You can do that. What else? What else is the challenge that your loved one is constantly moving the remote everywhere? Maybe you put in ChatGPT like, how can I create a space where my loved one feels more comfortable in the TV room? Where can I put the remote because they're constantly moving it? And watch ChatGPT give you some answers. Maybe you get one of those hidden in plain sights books, right? So if you're in the TV room, let's say you have a coffee table, you on the coffee table, you have your coffee table books. Maybe one of those books are the books that actually looks like a book, but it's actually a safe. Maybe you put the remote in that safe. So now you don't got to worry about anybody moving that remote, right? Okay. What can we do to make your life easier? What is the challenge? Then create the desire and then list how you can get to that resolution.
Such a great advice. Oh my gosh.
Yay.
Everyone now is going to be going ChatGPT,
I
going
use
over
I
all
use
the
it for
routines.
everything. I even with this whole winter to spring thing, I was like, ChatGPT, yo, I call her Juniper. And I was like, Juniper, because there's a way that you can actually there's an option where you can speak to ChatGPT and then you can hear ChatGPT speak back to you. I think it's a little microphone icon. I don't use it often, but when I do, I love it because it feels like I have my personal assistant. So I was like, hey, yo, Juniper, so girl, winter is about to be over and I need a new spring routine. You know what I like. I like to have my smoothies in the morning. I like to move my body, but I have a treadmill. So what do I do? Can you just give me a routine for spring? I need it bad. And she gave me an Excel sheet that I could download with the times. Yeah, I mean, she got into it. Like, it was awesome. And I felt more space for myself because I don't have to sit and study and think about, like, oh my God, so what do I do at 9 o'clock? Okay, well, wait, I also still have to do that. No, I don't. I can delegate that, and I will. Oh, she does. Yeah.
And ChatGPT is a form of delegation. You have just put in all of
It
the,
is.
yeah, how they can
It
support that.
is. It absolutely is. That's why I encourage any caregiver listening. If you feel like you have challenges in your life, list them out and then list out the desires that you would like for those challenges. And then put it into ChatGPT and ask it to help. Especially when you feel like you're alone, you can't talk to anyone, nobody has advice, nobody has answers. So talk to Chat.
Such a great idea. Such a
Yeah.
great idea. And so relevant, especially as we're all trying to dive into that a little bit more and understand it of how it can actually support us, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think I mean, obviously there are some there's a dark side of AI, but we're not leaning in on the dark side. We're going towards the light. Okay, always go toward the light.
Go towards the light.
Yeah. And the light side of ChatGPT or AI is that it's here to help you, not to harm you. So, in that aspect, using it for the benefits of help, I think will change the entire game. It did for me.
Yeah, I think so too. And I
Yeah.
the practical piece, right? You're giving people ideas of how it's actually really going to be saving time, alleviating that mental load, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if the challenges are how to show up for yourself. If you've got the care for your loved one down pat and you've noticed that you are completely burnt out, then using chat for yourself in specific areas. How can I move more? How can I include more health in my diet? And how can I have more responsible socialization times? So what I mean by the responsible socialization times is that if you know you have a full day with your loved one, maybe your time for yourself is maybe 2 hours and it's always in the evening. How can you still socialize healthily that way in a responsible way that you're still able to go to sleep with a certain amount of hours that you need for your body to re-energize itself, but you're still socializing. How can you do it? Maybe there is a caregiver support group or maybe some care influencers that are doing a live on TikTok or Instagram. Maybe then you can go and socialize, right? And that's still responsible because you're still at home with your loved one, but you're showing up for yourself, you know?
Ah, so amazing. I want people to hear and learn about you have a new podcast. So if everyone is loving Nikki, this is just a whole nother way to learn, be inspired by you. Tell us all about it. I can't wait.
I'm so excited and thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'm so excited, but I'm also so nervous because I come with a lot of energy and I'm always on guard. Like I hold it back. Okay, like oof, can't give too much.
Don't hold
Can't
back.
I'm always holding back. It's too much sauce, but every now and then my grip slips a little and it just comes out. So that's what that podcast is, man. I'm out there and I'm with this amazing, fabulous caregiver. Her name is Tara, but I call her T, or Babes. Like I'm always throwing out little names, but she is so amazing because she is very much the organized queen. She's the list queen. If you need a list, She's got them, thankfully on Etsy. But her and I together, we created this podcast called Charisma. I think it's because uh, caregivers have so much in them, but oftentimes it's overshadowed by the caregiver title that you can't even see all the charisma that they come with. Like, oh my God, but what if you could? You know how you can? Listening and downloading the podcast. Maybe, perhaps. I don't know. That's the word on the street. But yeah, I'm so excited because I'm actually giving myself allowance to just be myself and to show more of my personality. And of course, give off tips on self-care and strategy. I think that's the thing too with caregiving. It's about strategy. You have to approach it as a business. And I'm sorry for those who think that it shouldn't be that. It actually should be. It's a business here. Okay, you are the CEO, okay? And you delegate as a business. Yeah, it helps. And it also creates healthy boundaries when you think of it as a business. Because when you are working, you have specific set hours, right? 9 to 5, right? Or 8 to 4, whatever. But when you're at business, you perform as such. So even your posture changes when you are at work. You know what I mean? I don't want to see my boss don't want to see me slouching, so I'm not gonna. Same thing with caregiving. You have specific hours where you are on. And then when you're not on, what do? You rest, but rest intentionally, rest with a plan. Like if you know that your loved one is going to be, someone is coming to take your loved one out for 2 hours. So now you have 2 hours. What are you going to do? Oh, I don't know. I'll think of something. No, you will not think of something. You will think about it before. Okay. And maybe you give yourself a ton of options. Like for 2 hours, I'm going to sleep or take a bubble bath, or I've already scheduled for a massage. And hopefully you schedule that massage because you know the person that your loved one is going with is reliable. Okay, so you don't have to reschedule that massage. Okay, there it is.
That's huge.
That is huge. Or maybe your respite time for those 2 hours could be that you listen and finish a novel with tea or hot chocolate, or you take yourself to the park and you sit out there and you just people watch and come up with stories, or you watch Days of Our Lives because you like trash TV, or I don't know, what is it, Real Housewives, or whatever your jam is. But for 2 hours, you sit with intention about how you're going to enjoy that respite. And or maybe in those 2 hours you order Uber Eats. I don't know what it is, but listen, babe, you got it. Okay, make a plan.
Yeah. So good. I cannot wait for everybody to listen. Your energy alone and ah, it's gonna be so good. And to have a counterpart, right? It's kind of like Carrie and I when we do Gather Darlings, like we balance each other so well.
Oh, I don't know how you do this solo dolo. I'm wearing a sleeveless shirt today on purpose because I'm nervous. And I don't know how you do it, girl. I'm
Oh,
perspiring.
you,
You're flawless.
you shine. You do such an amazing job.
It's perspiration. It's not shine. But thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Cannot wait. So proud of you. So happy for you. Can't wait for more people to learn from you. And honestly, it's that whole piece of being encouraged, having people speak truth into our lives, see us when we can't see ourselves always in like those really hard moments. And I think that's
Yeah.
the beauty in all of it. So appreciate you. I'm going to include all of those links on our episode
Thank
description and
you.
where people can connect with you. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you so much again for just being a pillar in this community. My God, I think you encourage so much grace, and we need a lot of
Um,
that. Thank you for giving us permission to just be who we are, to just be real, and to just enjoy that. So you do that. Thank you.
you. That means so much. Just you are just so kind and so loving. So thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. It's actually just honesty. So
Oh.
thanks.
Aw, thanks, friend. Yay.
Welcome, friend.
Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe and give us 5 stars. In all honesty, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to our episode.